Well, it's time to set it off on Island Tea.
Yes.
In my case, Island Coffee. But not really, because it's we don't grow coffee here, right?
A wonderful Tuesday morning to everyone as we celebrate, another day of life, another day of us being here, being able to listen, being able to experience God's blessing. Of course, we're still in the month of April, the beautiful month of April, and we're winding down from Aries season shortly, and we're going into Taurus season. And so we know that there are a number of Tauruses out there waiting to enter into their season. And of course, we acknowledge all the Aries and all the persons who have been celebrating in this month. I want to start this morning's program with a quote. Do every job you're in like you're going to do it for the rest of your life and demonstrate that ownership of it. Do every job you're in like you're going to do it for the rest of your life and demonstrate that ownership of it. And that quote is from Mary Barra. And Mary Barra rose to the top of General Motors Company in 2014 after an impressive decade-long career there, making history as the first female CEO of any major automobile manufacturer in the world. The company was dealing with dozens of safety recalls when Barra was first appointed CEO, and she had to testify before the Senate. And so in response, she implemented various new safety policies. Barra has been praised for her ability to work under pressure, using innovation to solve problems quickly and efficiently. And her quote is, again, do every job you're in like you're going to do it for the rest of your life and demonstrate that ownership of it. Yes, so those persons out there, business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives, persons within the civil service, persons within the private sector, whatever you're doing, entertainment, do that job like you're going to do it for the rest of your life and, take ownership of it. I want to encourage callers. We have a program here this morning, and it's your opportunity to call in. We also have this morning, because it's Tuesday, we are supposed to have our daily dose. And so we expect to be greeted by Dr. Osborne at 9 o'clock for our daily dose. And I'm here looking through some of the news articles, and I am seeing April 21st designated as discounted VAT rate day.
Yeah, I'm here looking at it.
Yeah.
On the WINN FM website. So, folks, if you want to read up more on the VAT day, go to the WINN FM website and check out our news.
Yeah, and it says, it was published by WINN FM on the 17th of April, 2023. So persons can read up on it. But what I find, and I had a discussion when I saw it being circulated, because, of course, it seemed to have been, maybe some letter being circulated in the news, perhaps prematurely. And so I was under the thought, when I thought about it, I welcomed the VAT day, because it's something that anyone who is purchasing would welcome. But my only thought was that, one, I think it comes before the government pays, and two, I think that the short notice of it, because unless you have some sort of monies in excess, how much can you really benefit from the notice being officially sent, perhaps, let's say, a week before the actual day of that day? So I think, and again, we often talk about, who did this, who did what, but I think the conversation should be, if we're having days like this, I think that adequate notice, adequate time should be given. Yeah,
absolutely.
And that is what I'm saying. Adequate time need to be given, because not all of us have like a bank of money which we have resources to just come and think. And most of us who are looking forward to this, It's because, we want some relief. So how beneficial is a relief if it's not given the proper notice?
Exactly. And when you consider that, for example, vehicles are not take, for example, you might have someone who maybe it's time to get a new car. And then they're thinking, oh, I heard there's a VAT day coming up. Maybe they do have the cash, but what's the point of having a VAT day with, as far as I'm concerned, it has limited practicability. I mean, there's not really much you can do. Food is already VAT free.
Mm-hmm. And it says vehicles, cigarettes, alcoholic beverages are not eligible because we could go through the article because because persons might not have the opportunity to do so. So we could, it says this would allow all approved VAT registered businesses to take charge VAT at a rate of 5%. So it's reduced. It's not totally off. So it's 5% on the sale of goods only. All tangible items subject to 17% VAT will qualify for the discount on discounted VAT rate day. Items eligible must also be available for sale and immediate delivery, to the customer on the discounted VAT rate day. Okay, so the items eligible must also be available for sale and immediate delivery to the customer on the reduced VAT day. So it seems as though what items they must be delivered at the same time.
Yeah.
So you can't say I'm gonna put it down and get it the next day.
It's almost a passive aggressive. It's almost a passive aggressive move because it's like, we're giving you a VAT day, but you can't do much with it. So
and it says orders for items not in stock do not qualify. So the items must be in stock. And then again, if it is that this was, the notice of it is given, it means, to me, it's like almost a jump. Like, what preparations have been put in place, I welcome it because, any citizens would welcome a reduce, if you're purchasing, but
they're
the
calling
practicality.
They're calling it discounted VAT rate there. Maybe they should call it reduced practicality VAT rate there because this is really not very practical.
And it says alcoholic beverages not eligible include, but are not limited to wine, brandy, vodka, whiskey, gin, rum, liquors, and beer, Guinness, Royal Stout, Carib, and Smirnoff Ice. So it says businesses desirous of registering for discounted VAT rate day must ensure that all VAT return filing and payments are up to date. There are no outstanding taxes, license penalties, and or interest due to the Inland Revenue Department and or the Customs and Excise Department. Says businesses wishing to participate may access the application form via the Inland Revenue Department's website or the IRD's offices in Bastille and Charlestown. This form must be returned and or before April 19th, 2023 at 4 p.m. Businesses are encouraged to submit the application via email at the Inland Revenue at ird.gov.kn. So the businesses who wish to register for this discounted VAT rate day, they must ensure that the filing, it's up to date, the payments are up to date, which is understandable, and that there are no outstanding taxes, licenses, etc., which is understandable as well. But because of the short time, I don't know if there was discussion with the private sector behind closed doors, but it says that the forms by these businesses must be returned by April 19th, which when I read, that's tomorrow. So I am assuming that they will have had some discussion behind the scenes before this was actually publicized to us, the public, because, the timing is short. So I would assume that there was some discussion behind the scenes.
I really think that some counterweighting. What I mean by that is, if vehicles are not thing, you give us very short notice. 5% really is. 5% is not really practicable. I have to say that again. They should have just done the full 17%. Given that the utility of this VAT day is already very much reduced by. Look at the day. It's the 21st. That's that Friday or Saturday?
The 21st is a Friday.
Yeah. So it doesn't. There's not a lot of utility here.
So it means too that the Friday that persons would be trying to escape or trying to seek leave for work from work.
I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna be falling all over yourself to buy some detergent at a 5% discount. I mean, this makes no sense. I'm sorry.
Let's see what the callers.
Well, I'm not sorry, but it makes no sense.
Let's see what the callers have to say. We have any callers? We could open up the lines, see what persons are saying about this.
Yeah, give us a call, 4660989, 7620989, and 6620989. And the thin-skinned people who run things, I'm just calling it the way I see it, right? There is very limited utility to this VAT there. I mean, it just gets sprung on us at the last minute. 5%, you can't, vehicles are not included. A lot of things that people really want are not included. I'm not saying there aren't things you can get, but the utility could have been improved if you had maybe given us a little more lead time.
Yeah, and I mean, too, again, we're just asking for, because we're not behind the scenes to know what is being discussed. So persons who are on the other side of the fence, not involved in the information.
People sharpening their long knives,
We don't know. We don't know what is happening.
Let's go to the phone lines.
Yes. Go ahead, caller.
Okay, here we go. Caller, go right ahead.
Hey, good morning, Trevor. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, let me apologize to Candice. It was not my intention to offend her.
Yes.
Just a Jamaican joke,
Okay, then.
Obviously, she wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, she really didn't appreciate it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know, but I said so. Yeah. And I apologize to you, darling.
You'll have to fill me in on whatever that is. I don't know what y'all are talking
It was
about.
last week when...
Yeah, when I said in Jamaica, they say, when you don't know something, they say you're airing up your ignorance.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Actually, I
never...
but
you're the one, Azard?
I never heard that one, but it seemed Jamaican for sure. Based on the terminology.
Yeah, he lived in the rich. He lived in the rich areas when he was there, so he wouldn't have heard that.
Oh, he was. he was cloistered.
I'm just playing.
The safe areas.
All right.
Yes.
I live on Taylor Hall where you have Jamaicans can't done.
Yeah. Well, I lived on Chancellor Hall when I was there.
But they're Jamaican too.
Yes.
A lot of Jamaicans. I enjoy myself.
Yes.
I really did.
Yes.
Getting close to the Jamaican, and they're quite nice. I must tell you, all those who have things.
What I admire about the Jamaicans, and I've always had that, is their determination. I find that of our Caribbean countries, I find them very determined, and I do look at that and the determination that they
and they're friendly, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Regardless,
I tell you find Kitchen and so they live on Irving, right?
Mm-hmm.
I lived on Taylor.
Yes.
But Taylor and Chancellor have war.
Yes.
Yeah, man, I was there when they were bringing the police and the army.
And they're so close together, you could practically walk into each other.
Vigorous. If they're going to play football, is what might say polite violence.
Yes. So you were there during the time, did they I guess they didn't have...
No, I went 82.
82. I guess Mary C. Cole wasn't there
Democratic
yet.
Thing, yes.
Yeah.
But I met people in my class who had been through it, and I was appalled. Appalled. Anybody call about
the VAT day?
Yeah, go ahead.
VAT day.
Yes.
I don't understand the rush. Now we are talking about many people still unemployed, on PAP and STEP, who want to attend the music festival.
Yes.
Of course, they'll have to save. It is close, It's close to music festival. And, as the Calypso say, they're going to poverty in the ghetto.
Yes.
Everybody got to get the clothes, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was saying, maybe they could have put it after the music festival.
Oh, no, that's a consideration.
Yeah, it is too close. When government paid it in the 24th or the 22nd?
Well, I don't know those dates anymore. But I think when I ask someone, I think it's the 22nd. Usually, those used to be the time.
Yeah, between the 22nd and the 24th.
Yes, but I'm not aware of it right now. Yeah.
So I kept thinking to myself, And people would have spent what they had in the last one. Then Hotspot had a sale on furniture and all kind of story.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't quite... I wonder what will be the response from the business sector.
Mm-hmm.
And they ask you to have all of these bills and taxes paid. They are due, some of them are due on the 15th, you know.
Yes.
VAT is due on the 15th, which was Friday or some day.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, I am sure, have not even paid their license fee yet.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering
to me,
if there was...
it reduces the number of participants.
I thought so as well, because I'm thinking, unless they were informed, the businesses informed before this, at least given time, then to me it really is not as practicable, or you don't maximize the benefits as much.
That's what I'm saying. When is Mother's Day?
Mother's Day is in May. Just I think the first week, is it not?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm saying it is also so close, because it would mean that some of the business places will have to advertise their Mother's Day gifts on the VAT reduced day.
But I am happy that we're sharing the same sentiments, because when I read it, and I said to myself, is something off with me? Because I'm seeing so many issues with the publication of this, given the time limit and given the...
I'm gonna tell you all exactly what I was thinking when I heard the rumor, thinking about doing with it.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get some business cards from Vistaprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying, okay, so maybe I could go ahead and order them because they have a discount now.
Oh.
And I was thinking,
you could have had an
additional discount with the VAT, right? Exactly.
Because that's why you have to plan. You have to plan.
Exactly. So, at this point, I can't really, because there's no way I could get those cards by Friday. So, because they come from the States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know, brother. I don't know who advised who.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know who advised who. Well, I called because I want to talk about the Kevin, what his name is yesterday, who was giving the talk at the IMF.
Kevin Hope.
Yes, Kevin Hope.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
You want me to call back?
I mean, you could discuss it now.
You can go ahead, and we'll take the break after you're done.
Yes.
I was quite impressed.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the question of whose statistics.
Mm-hmm.
I think I said it before. I don't know if you had heard me. All the statistics that the IMF used supposed to come from our planning unit and economic division,
mm-hmm.
local. Because somebody was asking, would the government fix them?
Yes.
When the IMF come, the last place they go to is the Prime Minister. That's the last place.
Okay.
And as I said, they go to the businesses themselves. They go to they go into the field. They don't just make up. But where we fall short is if the data they want is not available. Then they make their own estimates.
Uh-huh.
But they just can't come and say it is that. Because any country is free to challenge it. Because somebody said, and we challenge the IMF. I was trained by the IMF. So I know what they're dealing with. And sometimes they feel, well, the country's small and they don't want to stay too long, you know?
Yes.
So they actually was come. I'm telling you, come with the estimates.
Already?
I used to tell them, look, hello, we're not discussing that, please put it away. Mrs. Henry, what do you think? I said, I don't think anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anything. We have the actual data, the actual indices, because even as you said, it is tourism, construction, well, the business, what they call financial intermediation, which is the banks and the insurance companies and so.
Yes.
And we do actual interviews. We have access to the financial statements.
Mm-hmm.
I had access to all of them, and we interview them. Now, sometimes, as you will know with some companies, especially on the industrial side, they might have had some estimates from before, but after you had the COVID and they can't get to ship the goods, neither in nor out, it would affect the manufacturing sector's estimates.
Yes.
So it is not somebody do something wrong, you know what I mean? And we don't know what we're doing. We must have more faith and more confidence. Because even as Kevin said, the central bank does not make the estimates, neither does the CDB. The only person who attempts to try anything is the IMF. And as he rightly said, You're not compelled to accept anything they say.
That's what I'm saying. They're all recommendations.
Yeah, and even some of them, you could contest them.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people look at the IMF, they're frightened. No. I've had cases before when they come in, they want to make loan for the government. I said, for what? Did you tell me we need it? I mean, serious.
Yes.
They push things on you, you know. And the truth is, international agencies and governments depend on your rating from the IMF to see if you can get a loan at what percent.
Yes.
So they're working for you and against you.
At the same time. And
at the same time.
I like how you said they are recommendations because
they are.
Because
sometimes
before we know that the IMF, when we look at the government size, the civil service, and this is the days I remember when as a teenager and so on, the criticisms where they said that our civil services far exceeds what they would call ideal, and we still employ. So, I mean, these are just recommendations that they are giving.
Yeah, but you see, some of them is true. I remember, if you want to check the data.
Yes.
You had in 1995 when the government changed. You remember this YES program?
Yes, I remember that.
All right, the YES program. It was youth employment
skills, I think.
Or whatever,
yes.
Right? A good program. It was designed to have 500 people for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
They would do attachment, and if they perform well, they would be hired. Right?
Yes, I remember that.
Now, one of our good person would like to commentate. If he listened to me, he could talk about it. They got 500, and they went around telling people, tell your cousin, tell your uncle to come. And would you believe it went to 1,000?
Yes.
1,000, you know.
You see?
Upon the industrial site, right?
Yes.
Factories were having difficulty because, well, who can go up there to get more down so?
And I think that's what happens. Sometimes when the government, they put in policies, and, you know, I think sometimes the political
the politics man
gets involved into it. And so what could be a really good program becomes in a program that now becomes abused.
Azard,
a burden. Because what happened? The government, when the 6 months up, most of them refused to go and, we vote for you. You know, this kind of we vote for you.
Yes, precisely.
And the wage bill almost doubled.
Correct.
They couldn't get them off. We had some, when we sent them, they come back and nobody could move me. Who sent me?
Yeah. So we
had no seating for some of them.
I think
it was so the thing was overburdened, just like with the step. If the government really gets serious with those in the private sector, let us send them home, and then you go and tax them.
We have to somewhat, whichever party is in power, whichever leaders sit in the seat of governance, have to be mindful of balancing government. And also, we know that the politics is involved, but the politics should not overrule the
the opposition parties too does create some of these things too.
Yeah, that is true. They're inside opposition parties.
Yeah, you're going to send them home now. What are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So since 1996, the IMF has been asking them to reduce the government wage bill.
Yes.
And then you give for that wage bill. You bring in more. With step was designed, but I think it was the same 500.
Yeah, and then we look
5,000.
We look at the PAP too. The PAP, which initially is a good social program.
About the PAP, and now the step way up in the same 3,000 and 4,000.
And you have seen where it is that what initially supposed to be a really good program to help citizens becomes a program that has been expanded
burden.
And now, unsustainable because the purpose in which it was intended for no longer exists or no longer is being used for that purpose.
So, so we don't destroy our own economy. So when they say, cut the social net, cut this, cut that, the timing, the recommendation is good, but the timing is bad.
Mm-hmm.
You do cutting when the economy starts to grow.
Yes.
Because if you go and start to cut now, and you have not brought in anything to absorb a lot of them, they're back on the roll,
Yeah. And I think,
one way or another.
And you see, I like discussions like this because I think these are discussions that need to be had when we have talks and we want to look and push our economy forward, we need to have economists there, because oftentimes we have leaders, and I'm not talking about any specific person. Oftentimes we have leaders, and they sit as they make financial decisions, but I think that you need a set of advisors.
They don't understand the impact of the things they do.
Which is why I said, I've been saying from the beginning, Mr. Drew needs to get a junior minister, a technocrat junior minister, headhunt somewhere, a Kitchener division working at maybe teaching economics or something at some university somewhere.
I said that you did economic courses.
But no, the lawyer may come in because he can only appoint so many senators based on the Constitution. So perhaps what he or anyone, because I don't want to pinpoint on anybody.
The junior minister has to be a senator?
Well, what I'm saying...
In this case?
But what I'm saying, if you are elected member...
I think he has to be. No.
If you are elected member, right?
Richard Kane was not in the house.
No, why I'm saying this, right? I'm saying this because you said pick somebody from somewhere. We already have the full... We already have the full
complement. Some of them we could do it out. Some of them, I asked the question, what are they adding?
No.
So you would have to take out one to bring in somebody.
So what? Some of them have jobs that they came from, send them back there.
We thought tourism was important enough to bring a guy from the Bahamas. So why not finance?
So
I don't understand.
Yeah, I asked, what can Ricky Skerritt add?
So we need to...
I have no... Ricky's my friend.
Question,
yeah, I'm just saying.
But
I think before... We brought in the man, and there was another one from Bahamas.
Yeah. So I think what we're saying is not individuals, but we're saying...
I know.
There's some persons...
I've been looking at them,
There's some persons, and we see within this administration as well, where persons have been placed in positions, and you wonder, what is the qualification? What are they adding? Is it just a political filler, or to?
Let me say though, I'm not casting aspersions at the financial secretary or anything. I'm just saying, I really liked. I mean, as young as I was, I really admired what Richard Keynes did as Dr. Simmons' junior minister of finance. He was an amazing he was an amazing minister of finance, and.
You take away the key,
Yes. I really
I'm going to give you a joke.
Mm-hmm.
There is a stockpiling up at Public Works.
Go ahead.
Like they order all kind of things. We just say, here not anymore until it's stocked go down.
Yeah. So we need...
because government is and you got to prove that you need this thing.
We need, when it comes to the government purse, we need... persons with the know-how, even if they don't sit as ministers or junior ministers, we need a complement of technocrats, persons specialized
doesn't have to be a junior minister,
that could advise and add substantial
the
recommendations.
The Prime Minister can create a position and sort of similar to what the US has the Office of Management and Budget or something. I don't know.
It's not just
Director of Management and Budget.
I think we have to think about our country because it's small, and I think we should be able to make decisions that are based on some sort of merit. You understand?
Yeah, you see, most of our things are based on politics.
Yeah, which is sad.
It's sad, and our people have not been taught to be responsible either.
It's a culture in which we have inherited.
Yeah, because even this thing, right? If your name was on the PAP illegally, just say illegally, right?
Yes.
Maybe the wrong word.
Mm-hmm.
And on the peace program, all you have to do is take them off. Inform the person,
Yes.
We're taking you off because according to the criteria you don't qualify.
Yes.
Then if they want to think it, they could challenge it in court.
So, I mean, these are
we're afraid to make decisions because the government is afraid of the opposition, and the opposition harassing the government. I don't mean any particular. All of them do the same thing.
But I think if you make decisions, right, and you have the reason behind that decision, and that's something you talk to as a law when you look at when it comes to natural justice, when it comes to not abusing your discretion and stuff like that. You make a decision as the law would provide that you give you power to make a decision, and you must take into consideration all the considerations that are relevant. And having made that decision, I think if you communicate that decision effectively, given the reasons, I think that we might be a bit disgruntled, but I think we are reasonable enough to say, boy, really and truly.
We just commend Mia Matley when she went in, you know. 3,500 off lay off, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then she lay off her next 500, you know. And she gone back to the IMF. So she, look, whether you like it or the opposition, she's telling you this is it, you know. If not, so and so. So we need, now the PM says he has an economic council.
Yes.
We need to name them.
And I don't see, and if he hasn't, I don't know the reason why that has not been.
On it.
Oh, yes. Because, I mean, all of these.
Yeah, I tell you, the central bank up there full of people with economics.
Yeah.
In the plan, the economy sitting down doing all kind of stupidness.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
you know,
a
lot of these students who come home.
Yes.
Start an economic society where you could actually in the public debate these things.
And I think economics is a very important area. I often said to myself, if I wasn't into law and had time and stuff like that, I would go into economics. Economics would have been the next one for me. You know, I think that is interesting and even to have some sort of knowledge in it, either whether basic or not, is important. And I think that perhaps each parliamentarian also should have. You know, I mean, you're elected. You don't have a criteria that speaks to qualifications. Elected, I think you should educate yourself. Educate yourself. You're in a position. If you are in a position where you're in a ministry, there's so much things out there in which you could take the opportunity to educate yourself.
I just think that a government should never give the impression that they're lurching from. They're lurching from, let's say, issue to issue, a sort of reactionary pandering to the noise, exactly.
You're saying that there should be a clear plan.
Yes,
this is what we intend.
You get the impression it's just reactionary, what can we do to goose our approval right now? Okay, I know. Let's do a
anyway, let me hang up. You know? All right then.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
We can take a break.
Yes.
Yeah.
98.9.
Looking back at the competition from miles ahead.
98.9 WINN FM.
King Ocean, king of the Caribbean seas, announces king-size savings on shipments from Miami to St. Kitts. We have the best service and competitive rates on LCL and FCL cargo, including D&E containers, cars, heavy equipment, buses, boats, and barrels from Miami to St. Kitts. LCL pickup service anywhere in the U.S. Call local agents SL Horseman and Company Limited at 869-465-4086 or 869-662-5008 for further details. King Ocean's king-size savings on shipments from Miami to St. Kitts Nevis. King Ocean, king of the Caribbean seas.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
It's 12 minutes on to 9 o'clock. Don't forget, coming up, we've got Weekly Dose with Dr. Natalie Osmond. That's coming up at 9 o'clock. In the meantime, I'm here hanging out with AZ, and we're here licking our chops about the upcoming VAT Day. But not really in my case.
Yeah.
Not really.
I mean, we're just giving some insight because we know that these are things that, affects us. These are things that we as this consuming public is affected by. We have a caller.
Hi, caller. Go right ahead. Hi, caller. Go ahead.
Everyone good in Ireland, too?
Yes.
Yeah, we good.
Just thanks for the information, Flo. And I love the reasoning just now with my family. Yeah, she knows she thing, you know.
She does.
Hey, you know, we wrote a punchline in Jamaica years ago. We do it on Mona. We do it on Mona grounds. It's as large. It goes like this. Right faces in the right places beget successes after successes.
Love that.
I heard that before.
That's relevant to the conversation in which we're having today.
Yes.
Professor Calamari Knife, when you hear that punchline, he say eat short. You don't even need no verses with the punchline.
You ain't need nothing else.
Mutaboka said that to me too. You don't need nothing else.
That's it.
So what do you think? What do you think about the VAT Day that's coming up on April 21st?
You just talk for me.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I must say you spoke for us. Hey, when we talk, you know, we echo what thousands is saying internally, you know.
Because you know the persons, the policy makers, the ones who make the decision, they're not feeling it on our end. We are the ones who have to now deal with it. And
exactly.
And if you're going to give something, give us something to our full benefit. Don't give us something that seems to be not going to be just giving us something for giving us something's sake, not really very useful.
It's sort of like if I'm giving you a candy bar and when you reach out for it, I pull it back.
Yeah.
You know?
And that is so because wrong places are in right places. Therefore, their decisions does not benefit the masses of the people.
Or you offer somebody a candy bar, Jamsta, but you tell them you have to get it by 9:03, and you know that they're all the way across the road, and they can't get it here in time.
Okay, thanks.
So you still offer it.
But thanks for refining the analogy.
You still offer it,
yes.
But based on the time in which they have to come and get it, you know that it's being practical unless they run.
Because you're making it more difficult for them to.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, these are just discussion points. So we hope that next time going forward, that it's.
We have another call.
Yeah. We have another call.
Island T, go right ahead. What do you think about the upcoming VAT Day? Hey, what's up?
Good morning.
I'm very curious as to know how they arrived at that position of it. Really.
Yes.
I'm just curious. What were they thinking?
Mm-hmm.
What are their thoughts? Did they look backward and the present time, and they look forward? How they arrive at this?
And Carla, Jamsta and I were talking about just on the break. It seems as though everything is just a reaction rather than careful deliberation. You're reacting to circumstances or experiences or comments.
Well, normally, if you're going to do a budget, you look at your past experience, and you look at your present, and you have a projection to go forward.
Yes.
But this one here beats take the cake. I wonder which area did they research to find this, because right now stores downtown are giving you, because they want you to buy 10%. And depends on the value of your expenditure. They expect to go 15%, maybe 20%, because they want to move a sale forward. It is always better to have the inventory move from the shelf to go into cash, so you could have a turnover rather than have no movement.
Yes.
We understand that. But why are you telling people 5%? That don't make no sense. Because right now, if stores are giving 10% and you come up with 5%, who are going to, in their right mind, going to volunteer for this VAT day that you say you're going to have? That's not a VAT day. That's a VAT day. That and nothing. That and nothing are the same.
Yes.
So to me, to do that, you should just leave the people them and don't excite them, and you cannot bring them to the height of which they expect to go.
Yeah.
That is very disappointing.
At the end of the day, what is going to be said is they already provided.
Well, you're just going to make some people much longer. I see some people shopping and they have a cart before them, And you say, why are you so clean? He said, I escaped to go to the cashier now because I need these things. But I can't go up to the cashier to
Why,
cash.
trust me, I know it is, because...
you just angry people because you make them think that they're getting something and they won't be getting anything.
I know
the expectation is greater than your presentation.
Yes.
So, but I think that we should rethink this. If you're not ready, don't do it.
Definitely.
Good, I don't do it.
Yeah.
So that's my position in that. And don't make yourself look stupid.
Yeah.
And I hate to see people do things and they're not ready. If you're not ready, you're just not ready. People just know that they'll have to wait, and the benefit of waiting is to get better results than what you'll be getting if you did not wait.
Correct. I agree.
Thank you very much, fellas. Good conversation. Have a good day.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. So I really hope it works out because 5% Friday, limited utility, limited practicability. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do not know, but I'm sure someone will find a way of getting something. I mean, maybe you get a 5% off. The only thing I can think of that, maybe I might want to take advantage of is, like some, I don't know, Tide Pods or something. I don't know. They're really expensive, right? They're like,
I really have to go through my list and see what we actually eligible for.
And then even that 5%. Wait, so is it so it's going to be 5% VAT as opposed to 17?
Yes, so it's reduced. So it's not completely off, but you have to bear in consideration that orders for items not in stock do not qualify. And you also have to bear in consideration that there are certain things that are not within the list.
Yeah.
So you must be able to.
So it's a Friday. It's a Friday, and I can't get
and then Friday you're
on a bottle of
working.
Jack Daniels. What's the point? Anyway.
Friday you're working to Jamsta. So persons who are in the civil service and so you have to
Call, go right ahead.
Good morning.
Oh,
Morning, Azard.
Yes, morning.
Referring to your quote of the day.
Yes.
Do what you do as if you're going to do it for the rest of your life.
Yes. Then take ownership of
farming. Here's it, I'm farming, right? Well, animal farmers up here.
Yes.
The animals lose and just destroying my farm.
Wow.
I don't invest much money. Am I going to continue living this way? Is the animal farmer going to continue living how they're living? But the animals destroying people's crops and just breaking down fences and all these things and can't get no kind of redress from the authorities. This thing can't be right. I ain't understanding how this going on from since October until now. Me ain't understanding it. Go to the authorities, go to here, go to there, and it's like nobody pay me no attention.
Well, you could take legal action, and so you have persons who have their animals. There's something called animal liability, in which persons, owners of these animals, can be held liable for the damage caused by their animals.
But nobody owning the animals them at the point in time. That's the difficulty. But they have no rope on them, nothing at all on them. But the funny thing about it is that the Ministry of Agriculture is not stepping in. They're supposed to be the leading role, playing the leading role and put a memo on the radio to let the animal owners know that if you do not comply, this is what step we will take. But they ain't doing nothing at all. But the funny thing to it is this, the Minister of Agriculture, he have a big farm. I wonder if his farm is being protected and he ain't paying no attention to these small other farmers. And something, I'll tell you something, the Prime Minister needs to get involved in this, Because when Bracha was alive, and people had to fence up Halloween's mountain to the people of Buckley's area up in the mountain ground. Bracha went up with the army, and then Bracha reached up by the fence. Bracha tell the army man, you step back. He take the pliers and he cut, and tell the armors them, go farm Ireland. This thing is not supposed to be ongoing now, like no, so. We're supposed to be exporting, not importing.
Okay.
organizing for the 40th
Okay,
year of,
Kosh.
independence, and we
Yeah.
depending on food coming in and nothing going out.
Okay, Kosh. It's we got
Respect, man, because we
okay.
can't
Yeah,
just
no
take them
problem.
out.
We have weekly dose coming up next
Well,
at
that's
9 o'clock in a
program
minute.
coming up
Hush, thank you for calling in, though, and hearing your view.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, folks. It's 1 minute until 9 o'clock. We've got weekly dose coming up, and also have to get a word from the sponsor of the day part, Tap Water Caribbean.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 WINN FM.
Do you want to improve the quality of your water? Is buying bottled water costing you a fortune? Say no to bottled water and yes to Tap Water Caribbean and Espo Water Solutions. We offer eco-friendly filtration products such as our Ultra Filter or our Bottle Pro for at home or on the go. Fill up anywhere. We also have a Shower Pro designed to protect and give you healthy skin. Visit us today at tapwatercaribbean.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Let's drink clean, pure, healthy water together. Remember, go green, save money, and save our planet.
It's 1 minute after 9 o'clock, and it's time for Weekly Dose with Dr. Natalie Osborne. Good morning.
Good morning to everybody. It's a pleasure to have the doctor in here. You know, we love our weekly dose here at the WINN FM Island Tea program.
And you know, I can tell he really misses you because he keeps saying daily dose. So subliminally, he wishes you were here every day.
Yeah. Oh, I said daily?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Well, weekly, sorry. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, what are we discussing today? I know what we're discussing, but let the audience know what we're discussing.
Okay, this morning, last week we had a good conversation and we spoke about gallstones and gallbladder disease. We decided because there's some similarities and persons oftentimes confuse one with the other, we decided we're going to talk about kidney stones this week to get an idea about kidney stone. Is it something that often brings persons to the emergency room? Very common. It says worldwide 12% of persons are diagnosed with kidney stones, and it is one of the most severe pain that you can have that draws you to the emergency room. It says often like it's like childbirth.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
Oh gosh. So the men, all of us out there who can't experience that, I guess the childbirth, that is the closest thing to it is kidney stones. Wow. So doctor, as you have said, give us a breakdown of what this kidney stone really is, because it seems really painful.
Yes, okay. Well, kidney stones, all right, they're formed from substance that is inside the urine. The kidneys themselves are responsible for filtering all of the blood that comes towards it and eliminating the toxic waste, the excess water. And stones are formed from the excess components that are inside of the urine. Remember when we spoke about gallstones?
Yes, and
we
the
said,
bile.
yes, we said once there were excess of any specific component, it can become crystallized and create stones. And that is the idea. These stones can be varied in sizes, from as small as a grain of sand, similar to the gallstones, or as large as even some persons get really large kidney stones. And that is what it is. So it's formed from the components or the substance that is excreted in the urine as waste. So you have things like calcium that's there, and once there's a buildup or excess of it, and not enough water, these substance crystallizes and form these stones varied in sizes.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. How common do these kidney stones form in individuals? Because I mean, God, thank you. 33 years old and never. But how common is it in, individuals?
It is quite common, especially it is, well, good for us. It is common in the men of age 30 to 40. That is the good, but usually in the Caucasian. So our race in the Federation is predominantly a black race. We have black descendants. So it is typically in males, but around the age of 30 to 40, and usually white males. But it does happen in our
Jamsta,
society as
when
well.
the doctor said that, I just said 33. So I saying, okay, then I gone.
Yeah.
and she's saying it's that, so really around the 30s.
Yes, and it's quite common. It says it represents about 12% worldwide. So you have 1 in 10 person can have kidney stones, but it's more predominant in the male sex.
Okay. So, wow. These fruitful and facts for us to know. I mean, I think it's always important for our audience to know these things, because then you become informed and know what to look out for.
Yes.
So let me ask you, what are the risk factors associated with it?
Excellent question. It's good that you asked that. What are the risk factors? One of the most common things is that you're not drinking enough water. We hear all the time, you've got to drink more water. And we live in a tropical area where we oftentimes get really dehydrated, but we don't know it because it's such a habit for us not drinking enough water. I've had patients that would come to me and say, Doc, I don't drink water. I get my liquids through juices and milks and whatever else, but most of the time I do not drink water. So one of the major problems is not drinking enough water. Then you have other risks. If you've had kidney stones before, you have an increased chance of developing or forming kidney stones again. So, for example, if you had kidney stones in your left kidney, then you can have kidney stones in your right kidney.
You would think that after getting it, you say, boy, that's it. They're probably going to need that time for it to form again. But again, you're saying you're more susceptible to getting it again.
Yes. Family history too. You tend to have this genetic component. If you've had a family member who's had kidney stones, maybe your pa, maybe your brother, your sister, you can have a kidney stones. Go ahead.
It's not. I don't think I'm going off topic, but I think this is an important question. As far as the hydration thing, you read some things say, oh, drink water, then you hear other doctors saying, well, as long as you're drinking juice and milk. I mean, what's is it better to just try and drink a certain amount of water daily,
of course,
as opposed to just fluids?
Yes, because the water, of course, is very important, and the water helps flushes out your system much more. You don't have the other additives, the other calories and stuff that is inside some of these juices and the other additives that your body really do not need. So yes, it's better to drink pure water. You also can have persons who develop kidney stones because of certain medication they might have taken, certain different health conditions, even persons who have diabetes and high blood pressure, and yet again we're speaking about obesity. If you're obese, you have an increased risk of developing kidney stone. Remember, we said almost everything and all the topics we've discussed so far in this program, you can always put the obesity
what
there.
I'm thinking, perhaps the gift or the secret to long life is exercise.
It is definitely one of the secret, and eating well.
Yes, and eating well, of course.
If you have things like osteoporosis, persons who have kidney cysts, persons who have problems with things like their parathyroid. Those are small glands associated with the thyroid gland. If you have that, you can develop a kidney stones. You can have inflammatory bowel disease. We've heard of these conditions that affect the bowels. They have either it is Crohn's disease or it is ulcerative colitis. I know many of our audience may not know some of these names, but these are chronic conditions that affects the lining of the bowel. That can increase your risk of having kidney stones. And there are many drugs that are described that can increase your risk of kidney stone. So it's not one thing. Remember, when we speak of risk factors, it's usually a combination of different things going on in the body that gives it the perfect condition to create these kidney stones.
Yes. Let me ask you the question. How long does it take for these kidney stones to form? We already discussed the risk factors. Now the formation. How long does it take?
That question cannot be answered specifically, but it's a good question because you could have kidney stones and never know you have kidney stones for many years until they become a problem. And we'll talk about that, why that it is so. But it all depends also the type of stones that your body develops. And each individual is different. But most persons do not know they have kidney stones until they start complaining. Because you could have the stones inside of the kidney itself, but what happens? There's a tube that takes the urine from the kidneys down to the bladder. That tube is called the ureter. And if that stone leaves the kidney and go through that fine tube, that's where the problem begins. Because what? That tube is so narrow. And as that stone passes there, it can hurt and irritate the lining and give you severe pain. And that is what would lead someone to recognize that, there is a problem. And then they're diagnosed with latent kidney stones.
What are the stones actually made of, though?
Excellent. That's a good question. Most of the stones in the kidneys are made up of calcium. It can be a combination of things. Calcium phosphate. There's another thing that's called calcium oxalate. Maybe there are persons who would have heard of uric acid. And I say to some person, if you've ever heard of this thing called gout, which is a type of arthritis, if there's a buildup of uric acid, you can have these stones form. Another thing as well too is persons who may have developed or have recurrent infections. There are certain stones that form as a result of recurrent infections of the kidney that are called struvite stones. So what you want to keep in mind, most of the stones are formed from calcium. That's why they are radio opaque, or you can see them on x-rays. That would represent about 90% of the stones, a combination of different things as a result of infection, chronic infection in the kidney. You can have a stone type that is called a struvite stone. You can have a stone that is called a cystine stone. But usually most of them are formed from calcium, different combination of calcium with phosphorus that occurs in the chemistry of the body.
Well, it's 11 minutes after 9 o'clock. It's Weekly Dose with Dr. Natalie Osborne. And I'm assuming you're going to be taking calls as well, right?
Yes, we're going to be taking calls.
So the numbers are 4660989, 6620989, and 7620989. Are there non-invasive ways to get rid of the stones, like medicative ways, as opposed to the scalpel?
Yes, we're going to talk about that, but I thought...
we're going to go on to that. Now, doctor, you have spoken with Jamsta asked you the question about the composition, and you talk about the calcium oxalate and stuff like that. We have, persons, we've touched a little bit about the symptoms, but not as much. Could we get into the symptoms right now?
And that is what we always want to make sure that our audience are quite aware, so they can keep this diagnosis in mind, so they can seek the necessary medical attention. One of the most common thing and the most pronounced thing is the person would have this colicky, sharp pain. The person usually would describe this pain as a 10 on 10. There's a scale that we use in medicine where you said you give a grade to the pain from 1 or from 0 to 10. And that person usually would say that the pain is a 10. That's the maximum pain. It is a sharp, colicky pain. It comes and goes in waves. And the pain is usually located by the flank or by your side there, just under your ribs, and it usually moves downward to your groin. And that pain can be extremely intense. Most persons, once you have that pain, you are sweating profusely. You're trying to get yourself into a position that makes you more comfortable, and you cannot find any sort of relief for that pain. You can also have things like nausea and vomit once you're having all that pain. You can also have pain if you want to go and urinate, that sensation. You may have difficulty to urinate. And persons often may say, Doc, I saw some blood in my urine in cases, or sometimes later on when they go to the hospital, they may be tested and know that they have blood in the urine, which we call microscopic. But if it is if it's a large stone, it can cause such bleeding that they can actually see the change in the color of their blood. And if it is left untreated, this person can go on to have signs of infection where they have fever, chills and stuff, leading to a complication because of the stone having an infection.
Wow. So I think, how can we diagnose the kidney stones then? Because, I mean, we're talking about the feeling, we're talking about the symptoms. You have the pain, you have the bleeding. When it comes to diagnosing this, how do you go about it?
Well, in terms of diagnosing, usually you take into consideration, we always speak about the patient's complaint, their symptoms, the history of that, and you want to examine the patient. Once you examine the patient, those patients usually have pain that is in their flank or the side there. Sometimes the pain is in their back. When you tap them there, they complain of a very sharp or intense pain or tenderness. You want to then go on to do some lab works. You can do your CBC checking to see if there's any signs of infection. We often talk about that. You want to also test the urine to see if there's any white blood cells in the urine suggesting an infection in the urine. You want to check to see if there's any blood cells in the urine as well too. You can then go on and do things like your ultrasound. The ultrasound is assist in seeing if there's any stone, any changes in the kidney. A CT scan can give you even more information where you're checking to see particular stones, where the stones are located. So those are some of the tests you can do. There are other things that we call a pyelogram, where you inject like a contrast in the vein, and you take several different X-ray images looking for that stone and where that stone is lodged.
We have a call. Okay. Let's go to another one. It turns out. Wow. Okay. Okay, callers, keep your calls coming. 466-0989, 762-0989, and 662-0989. So hopefully we'll have some calls. Okay, here we go. Weekly dose, go right ahead.
Greetings, forwardly. Same to your guest. Thanks for the information flowing. You know, we just listened to you talking about the right kidney and the left kidney, and a lot of people don't, hold the consciousness that the human body have two sides, the left and the right. So, we were advised by the herbal doctor one time that when you are taking, you can't do it with tablets, because I just said tablet just go one way. But when you're taking a liquid, like for instance, you were just talking about water a while ago. It is important to have to know the exercise of feeding both sides of your body. Like you take a mouthful of water, you lean your head on your right side, swallow. You take another mouthful, you lean on your head on your left side, and you swallow. What you're doing there is making sure. I don't know if Doc have any objection to this knowledge, but I was told that it is very profound. You lean and you swallow. Thereby you're feeding both sides of your body. The utterance just now about your left ribs and your left kidney and your right kidney reminds us of that, and we decide to share it, It is very important.
Okay, thank you, caller, for that call. Just to make a quick correction, scientifically, once you consume your fluids, it is distributed throughout the body equally. So there's usually no need to lean to a side versus another side. Okay, so that has no real basis in medicine or science. Okay, so let's just make sure that our audience know that you consume your meals, your fluids, whatever you consume, your antibiotics, your treatment, it gets into the bloodstream and it is circulated or distributed throughout your body. Okay? Yes. Let's just make sure that we're clear on that. Okay, so let's continue meanwhile, unless we have a... No.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Weekly dose, you're on the air. Go right ahead.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
The doctor will speak about obesity, and we all know that obesity is a risk factor for almost every disease, just like smoking. The question is, when you speak of obesity, are we referring to general obesity or abdominal obesity? Because big belly, quote unquote, seems to be a style now among many men, and I'm wondering if that contributes to the risk of developing these stones. And in fact, if there are any, maybe it requires a discussion all by itself, but are there any pros to these big bellies, or is it himself or are they themselves, big bellies, contributory factors to developing these stones and other diseases and illnesses and problems? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carla, for that, Carl. That's actually a very good question because he makes the difference if the distribution of the obesity or the fat. And we know that abdominal obesity is much how should I say it? It's contributes to much more deteriorated health or health issues. Abdominal obesity or visceral obesity, that is actually worse. Because somebody may be a little bit heavier, but most of their weight may be on their hips, their buttock, their thighs, versus someone who has a large abdomen or have more obesity around the abdomen. We call that more mid or central or truncal obesity, and that leads to more obesity on the abdominal organs. That obesity is usually much more detrimental to the overall health. Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you the question. How are kidney stones treated?
Okay, yes. Once you have a kidney stone, there are several different ways. I think that we were speaking about that earlier, and we said we'll wait just a little bit to discuss that. So there are several ways about going about treating your kidney stones. First of all, you want to decrease the pain. That is the most debilitating thing the person would complain of. The pain is so intense. So you want to have, sometimes you can take over-the-counter medication. The NSAIDs or things like Motrin, many persons would have heard of that, or ibuprofen, or Voltaren. Those type of drugs are very good in calming that pain. You want to increase your fluid intake. If you are managing, if the pain is not that severe and you're managing it at home, you can do that. Increase your fluid intake. Once you get to the hospital, then you can also get some IV medication and the same pain medication we can give you via IV or in the buttock, what we call intramuscular, and we want to hydrate the person. Usually you're giving tons of fluid. What does that do? Help flush out the kidney, as we said, and get rid of those stones. Because the stone usually, remember we said, once that stone is passing in that tube that takes you from the kidney to the bladder, that's where the pain is so intense. So what the fluid does, you keep flushing the fluid to the kidney and help to push that stone out and make it much more comfortable or easier. So then that is the medical management. There are other things that we can do, as we alluded to earlier. You can have different types of surgery. Some of us must have heard about what we call lithotripsy or wave lithotripsy. That idea is that what you do, you have this machine and it does, it's called extracorporeal lithotripsy, where you have a shock wave go into the person and it breaks down the stones and it makes the stones into fine powder-like or sand-like material, and that stone is then able to be flushed out or passed out by the patient. That's one of the easiest thing to do, and that comes with very little complication. There also are the procedures where you can use a camera, go into the bladder and go up the tubes that we call ureters, and if you see that stone, you can remove that stone. That's can be done too, and it's often done internationally. That's a little bit more what we call invasive. You have other procedures where you can use fine tubes or fine hole in the body. That is like a laparoscopic procedure, and you go into the kidney and you remove the stones. And those procedures are done and well tolerated internationally and throughout the world. Patients recover quite easily. And in more advanced cases, you may have to do a major surgery where you open the person's side and you go in and you have to open the tubes and take out the stones, especially if these stones are very huge, because sometimes persons have very large stones that are trapped inside the kidneys and are very difficult to break up.
Oh. Yeah, let me ask the questions because we spoke about our diet as well.
Yes.
And being very cautious of what we eat in addition to exercising. So what are some of the food and drinks that could help with the kidney stones?
Well, oftentimes there are certain remedies you can use at home. We encourage the cranberry juice. Person often said you can have some help with that, okay? and it helps to prevent the infection, which is a secondary complication of you having the stone.
You know, I was in conversation with somebody yesterday, and I told them, you know, I just love cranberry juice.
Yes.
One juice I love is cranberry juice. And the lady said to me, you know, the time I use cranberry juice is to, she said that she also likes cranberry juice, and it's to treat UTI. So when you say,
yes.
when you say it this morning, now I'm like, wow, you know, connection.
Lemon juice is also said to be very helpful too, because what it does, it's rich in something called citrate, and it helps to prevent the kidneys from creating stones. So lemon juice is always recommended. Some persons who like coffee, there's some benefit.
Jamsta,
you love coffee.
so we get in some of the. Hey, so we've been actually on the good with this, you know, as a cranberry juice drinker, Jamsta as a coffee drinker. And, you know, I love lemonade as well. So I guess we are, you know, in a sense,
on the right track in preventing the kidney stone.
I remember when I used to live in Greenlands, we had a five-finger tree in the yard. And I remember I was reading up, because I always thought God was in an experimental mood when he made that fruit. Because it's strange, and you know, so I was reading up on it, and I noticed it said that it's high in oxalic acid, and you have to be careful about how much you take. And they also said the same thing about spinach, and I remember it saying that you have to be careful with those two, because they can also contribute to the same thing.
The formation of kidney stones.
Is that true?
Well, there's certain foods like spinach and so may contribute.
If you have
but remember, there's always a balance, because remember, we're saying there's a lot of different risk factors, and spinach has a lots of benefits as well too. But you always have to make sure you do all the other things. You have your cranberry juice, your lemonade, your exercise. We always say everything comes back to exercise, and you stay hydrated. Okay. And some persons with a strong family history of kidney stone may not be, to no fault of theirs, they may have the tendency to form kidney stones.
Okay, even in spite of
in spite of trying your best.
Budget,
yes,
I'm not budget. I'm diet.
An optimal
budget
diet.
come from?
Yes. So we are here and we're talking about the home treatment, and you know, so persons out there, they could increase the lemon juice. And I like how I see when you say lemon juice, is distinguishes it from lemonade, because I'm assuming lemonade is when you add a little sugar and the other things to it. So if you get it straight squeezed, that is what is necessary. So I mean, what about prevention? What about those things that you think persons could drink that would not be so good for them,
but
would
also
increase their risk?
As an adjunct to that, maybe you can tell the listeners how much water they should try and drink daily.
Oh, how much water?
Aside from the juice and soft drinks, which, you know, probably not good, but
you want to have, how would we say, between 8 and 12 glasses or 8 and 12 ounces. One glass is 8 ounces. So you want to have at least 8 to 12 glasses of water throughout the day. And it all then comes down to your activity that you do. If you're a person who works more in the sun, you're a person who sweats a lot more. Some persons, based on their activity, may have to consume more. Yes. But most time we overall do not drink enough water. So we need to have that bottle of water at our desk when we're at work, and try to drink some water from time to time. Yes. We definitely need to drink more water. And another way of knowing that you're not drinking enough water, you go to the restroom and you realize that your urine is becoming darker, and you know that you're not hydrated enough. So then you're encouraged to consume or intake more water.
Wow, that mean I'm good then.
Yes. When you look at your urine, it's normally light, very light. Yes. The objective is that it tends more to like water. It would never get to water, but the lighter it is, it means that you're well hydrated. Yes.
Okay. So I guess there is something to that that homeopathic thing where people talk about first thing in the morning. Like
drink
lemon with water.
Yes. They often say that is very good for your digestive system. That's the first thing that you do, some warm lemon water.
Because it's preventive as well as therapeutic, right?
Yes, I remember that.
Do we have any more questions?
No, there are no callers, but I can't think of anything.
What about any drinks or food that you should avoid that really increases your risk?
You want to avoid things like those sodas and those sugary drinks, which we as a society, we love them.
Yeah.
There's certain things you want to avoid there. I think that will increase your chances of having these kidney stones. Yeah.
So we have 1 more minute. So anything you like to say?
And me personally, well, the objective here, as we always say, I have one objective by the time the show is over, that someone and everyone would have learned something new, and I hope that we would have learned something new. Kidney stone is considered one of the most severe abdominal pain once a person have that pain, and it's a pain you never forget. And so persons would want to do everything in their power to prevent having that pain again. Okay, so you want to encourage persons to do things that are preventative. Get exercising, overall bring down their body mass index by losing some weight. Ensure that you stay hydrated throughout the day and things like that. And once you eat healthy, you're on your way to preventing a lot of these diseases that we keep speaking about on Tuesday morning.
Yeah. So guys, what resonates with me most of all, especially with these talks, diet and exercise.
Diet and exercise.
Do you want to squeeze in one more? That's one for the road.
Yes.
Okay. Caller, go right ahead. You're the last caller. Can you be brief?
Yes. Good morning, Jamsta. Good morning, Azard, and good morning to the doctor.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the information. I'm a disciplined person, and I have adhered to most of the things that you have said there. Don't drink cranberry juice, but the water and the lemon, sour orange, basis. That's a part of my diet. And it has worked because I think I passed kidney stones because I had to go to the hospital one time with some urine as a sample, and then I spoke to the doctor. And so after that, I'm feeling much better, and so thanks for the information. Water, you kind of place most emphasis on drinking water. What can we do to really educate our people about it? Get them to start to love water like how they love other things.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for your question.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Osborne, for coming in, for educating, for giving us such a lively discussion. And we do look forward to having our weekly dose here on Tuesday mornings at the WINN FM Island Tea program. So I want to say thank you and have an awesome day.
Thank you. And thanks to our audience for listening and for supporting the show. Thank you.
And I double down on what he said.
Yes. Have a good day, everybody.
Yes. Have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, that's going to do it for Weekly Dose for this week. It's 9:31. The discussion continues on Island Tea right after this.
Different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Do you want to improve the quality of your water? Is buying bottled water costing you a fortune? Say no to bottled water and yes to Tap Water Caribbean and Espol Water Solutions. We offer eco-friendly filtration products such as our Ultra Filter or our Bottle Pro for at home or on the go. Fill up anywhere. We also have a Shower Pro designed to protect and give you healthy skin. Visit us today at tapwatercaribbean.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Let's drink clean, pure, healthy water together. Remember, go green, save money, and save our planet.
Found the sound. 98.9. WINN FM.
Sardine have a new vibe. Brunswick Sardine have a new Brunswick Sardine Filet. It have a new vibe. You hear what me say? Run go to your favorite supermarket or corner shop and grab a couple things today. Cause this a sitting where everybody a go like. Brunswick Sardine have a new vibe. 5 different flavors for you to try. Brunswick Sardine have a new vibe. Plus it boneless. Oh yes, that's right. Brunswick Sardine have a new vibe. Packed with nutrition in every bite. It tastes nice. Brunswick Sardine have a new vibe. Hey kids, drink healthy.
Reduce sugar chubby with the same great taste. Lots of magic fruity flavors, drink the more healthy way.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Be active, be healthy, drink lots of chubby. Kicking football, playing cricket, having fun in the sun.
It's chubby.
Reduced sugar chubby keeps you cool and refreshed.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Jumping rope, running races, have fun.
It tastes so yummy, chubby.
Drink the more healthy way.
Yo, check this one out. Something smooth. Calm you down. Check out the story. You know what I mean? 1998. It's Vinny and Mojica. Pete Rock. Hey yo, type.
And we are back. It's 9:34, and we're back. I got a message here from a text. Read the VAT day.
Mhm.
Let me read that for you. I'll read that for the listeners. It says this is one of the most short-sighted decisions by Drew to give VAT discount at this time. So we will get VAT discount for back. So will we get VAT discount for back to school so we can get school supplies? Will we get VAT discount in December still when people can properly plan and put things in place so their money can stretch better? This fly-by-night approach is not beneficial to us who need this type of assistance most, and the people who can afford to walk into stores and supermarkets and buy anything they want without calculating before they get to the cashier are not interested in VAT discount. Pure nonsense, this. Wow.
What, Jamsta, you know, when I hear you read that, that's the same thing that came to my mind. The persons who can really afford this very short notice aren't the ones concerned about it at all. It's persons who don't have access to lots of money, who actually try to plan and ensure that the money is spent as best as possible. And I feel for those persons, you know. I mean, like myself, especially, like we can't just pick up and say, you know, so in case you want things and you want to maximize that dollar, this short-term notice, it really doesn't help.
And you know what, I just realized a question someone sent put a finer point on maybe the issue. They asked, why is there a reduced VAT day? What was the explanation given? And then I realized, yes, the release doesn't really give a reason, right?
Well, you see, I think, and I could be corrected, I think when I first heard the discussions, it was in relation to perhaps some sort of election promise that was given. I could be mistaken, but I think it stemmed from there. And this is what I'm thinking. It just seemed like now the administration, the current administration, might have said certain things while in the campaign mode, and now persons are keeping their feet to the fire, and so it comes off very short notice just to say that we did what we said we're going to do, rather than saying that, okay, then when we was making these promises, we really contemplated and put deep thought in what we were promising. And this is what when we had the discussion with EK, and so I was trying to bring out, because it's one thing to make a promise and say that, well, I was not in government, I was not aware of the situation when I made this promise, and just use that as and for lack of a better word, an excuse to say that, well, you can't keep me or hold me accountable to something that I promised you because I wasn't able to see the full scope of what is necessary when I made the promise. Because then you could go on, and elections happen so often here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and it goes on that anybody can make any promise, and then the electorate you said to the electorate, well, this was the situation, that was the situation. I think when politicians are coming to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and they're making certain promises, that they think about really and truly whether these promises can be fulfilled, because at that point in time, people are trying to buy what you're selling, because you're like a salesman. You're coming and saying that this is what we're offering.
And yeah.
And this is what we're going to offer if you elect us. So at the end of the day, it's not just, a promise is based on and some assurance that this is what we're going to get when we pay or when we do that, when we vote.
And you know, I want the listeners to understand, you know, because people see things in a sometimes really toxic, through a really toxic political prisms, where every time someone says something, people see it through a partisan or a political prism, where we're just going after the government because we wanna. No, all we're saying is that person raised that asked that question. I didn't even think about that. What was the reason? There should be an official reason, and the reason should be founded on. It should be founded on solid.
Yeah, some economic,
you're right, unimpeachable
financial,
ground.
Economic reason
Right.
that you're going to do this. Not
Yes.
And if you're going to do it, at least a month's notice will have assisted persons, because you'll be able to say, "Boy, let me put aside this year because reduce VAT they're coming up, and I could put away, let's say, $200, $1,000, so I could buy this rather
Exactly.
than this 4 day
Because-
week within a week.
Yes.
Period.
We should have had like a 2 weeks. I could have ordered my cards, and I know, well, okay, they have take advantage of the discount, the 40% discount, and then I was like, oh, I get a further discount when I pick them up at KDP or whatever the case may
to
be.
lament on it. It's the same thing too when we were when I made my discussion on the music festival. Persons are going to, I want it to do well.
You want to take this call? Let's take this
Yeah.
call. Hold that thought.
Go ahead.
Caller, go right ahead.
Morning, sir.
Hey,
Good morning to you all.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Well,
Very
thank
good.
you. How are you?
I'm very well, and thanks for asking.
No problem.
I heard in discussion a statement was made, and at least is make known of my understanding that it is a short notice of the VAT day. Is it true? And then what could you call a short notice? 2 days, a week? Do they have to notify people a year, 6 weeks, 3 months about that day? Which simply means, based on my understanding of what you said, could reflect on people not having enough money, but the year starts January the 1st of this year. Are you saying people having management problems about the money to manage it, to save money? You should always save money, and you only can buy what you need, not what you want. You don't have to have $100,000 preparing for that day. You should have money saved to make a difference of whatever is significantly important to you as a need. You don't have to have $100,000 and waiting for that day.
Caller,
A week is not enough.
Caller,
a week is not enough. Are you saying that?
Let me engage you a bit, if that's okay. Can I engage you?
Of course, yes.
Yeah. So there's some persons in society that, they live from paycheck to paycheck. They're not able to have large savings, and sometimes no fault of them or themselves, because of the situation. We realize that there are rising costs of living. You realize that we are coming off of a pandemic. So a lot of persons who might have had savings before might not have savings as much as they did before the pandemic. Yes,
That's
we
understood.
started in January, and again, I make the point that there are a lot of persons living from paycheck to paycheck. What we are saying is that, yes, we acknowledge that there is a reduced there, but there are some persons, they don't have the financial spending power for such a short notice. They might need at least a month, so they could say, okay, then, these are things that I'm going to plan towards. These are things that I need. And so while they have a month, they could properly plan how to spend the next paycheck, because some persons are looking to see how they're going to spend that next paycheck. So if it is that you're going to get a notice so short, it would be to their disadvantage. And I don't think that asking for more time from government agencies would be something so wrong, because this is in the private sector where persons are thinking, okay, then we could just have discounts here and there. That's the private sector. But the government should, I think, be given a different standard to private businesses.
I understand what you're saying, yes, but I personally feel like people need to better manage the money to have money saved, and anyone who works should be able to save a penny, not $100 every month. You could save at $10 every week, personally speaking, because the banks look at people who makes deposits of saving or how regularly they deposit the money, which of course guarantee them people the same way I'm speaking about is to get loans. A fellow who go and put $100,000 in the bank every 6 years, and somebody who go and put $1,000 in the bank every week, the bank's looking at the person who deposit money every week because they're committed. But personally speaking, sir, what you're saying doesn't make sense. But I personally believe people should have a better management procedure about managing the money. You just don't work and spend your money like that. You save. If you don't save, you're not going to have earnings.
I do agree
I
that
thank you all for listening.
I do, no problem. I do take your point that persons should save, but because I see it so much, I know that there are persons who are indeed genuinely struggling, and it's not that they don't want to save, but we have persons who perhaps not in a position to because of circumstances. And I look at the pandemic that we're just coming off of.
Let's take this call. Caller, go right ahead.
But one will be surprised to know the people who will walk in a store and buy certain things just off the bad cash. And you'll be surprised to know that the person you think that can afford it as much as you think they can will look to rub right down to the very cent. Because those people, they can afford it. They get what they have by fully controlling the expenditure. And so by doing so, that is why they operate in that light. The real people who spend are the small people who make small wages.
Yeah.
And if you let those people go home on Friday afternoon, town will be shut down.
And
totally.
That's
because those small people, those small engines, those small cogs is what turning the big cogs, Because the big fella, money already set out at a certain level of margin, of mortgages, for the type of car he drives, for the type of vehicle. Lots of those people don't really have loose money because their money, the incoming have already been tied up in the things that they are using.
Yeah.
So most of the expenditure is the small people that keep on the system turning. If those small people go home with the money, everybody in town cry.
Yep. Yeah.
So don't take those small people who you say or who you might think don't control their expenditure as much as you might think that they're the one who most of the business depending on. Because the fellow who make the money, you can't get his penny easily. He control that.
Yeah.
Up to the hilt. He don't take chances. But the man who now spend on the road, that's the man who run in the engine.
And I'm thinking as
and
well,
so
Carla.
The whole system is a plan to get those people to let go more rather than trying to save. Some people don't save anything at all.
But
nothing.
But
Because
you
the
don't
moment
think
the money hit the bank, bam, ATM machine, woof, it's out, it's done.
Yeah.
And they go to work because they expect another paycheck.
And
That's the way
I'm
it is.
thinking about this, right? If you're really a saver, right? Because we're looking at whether or not persons are saving. If you're really a saver, wouldn't a saver, someone who budgets, want more time? Because it goes to your benefit. Because not because you're saving, it means that you want a short notice, or you. It's not that you can't buy something on a short notice. I think if you're genuinely someone who budgets and saves, you want to benefit as much as possible. So the more time you have, if you're given at least adequate time to prepare, you could save more. So I think
timing, saving, planning, and structural planning work together hand in hand.
So you can
plan. He who failed to plan to fail.
So you can't plan really in 3 days. Because you probably already done plan out your money, and it wasn't there for the reduce.
But then another thing you say, I get the impression listening to you that you are thinking of the political line also, whereas you might be entering somewhere into politics somewhere down the road.
Well, you said
things that you are saying
meaning
right
that.
now.
Yeah.
Have you get into government, you probably might end up doing the same thing that these fellows are doing and maybe worse.
No, I think that you should give everybody an opportunity
chance
to think. The thing about it, when it comes to politics, is something that I've had an interest in. I think I've said this before. I've been a part of youth parliament, but at the end of the day, I have no ill intentions, and at the end of the day, I think I look at the good and I look at the bad. And if it's more bad than good, then I could be comfortable in just bringing my contribution elsewhere. So when I think about politics, I don't think about entering to make the system worse. I think about entering to make the system better. And if it is that me being a part of it and contributing doesn't make the system any better, then perhaps it's time for me to exit. And that is the thought that I have.
Mind you, in my mind, my thinking, I believe that these fellas who bring this thing forward in terms of the bad day for the people means well. But just because you think just because you think and you believe that it means well, don't mean that it's workable for the people. If it's really for the people, then you should really show your intention.
Mm-hmm.
Show your intention and show your goodwill by doing it properly.
And that is what we are saying here.
Give adequate time and let people prepare to know that it's coming, it's in the ear. Everybody aware that during December that's bad, they're going to come and so on. And so they expect and they prepare for that because they say that. You hear it on the street, they talk to each other. But they come in and me want to buy this now because they're going to wait until that day. And this is a big item and I would like to get the discount from half. And the discount is not really coming from the storekeeper. It's coming from the government. Your government.
Okay.
You buy the people for the people.
Okay, caller, we have to take another call. There's another call here.
So that is my aspect.
Yes,
okay,
great.
Thank you so much for calling in, caller. Thank you for hearing your contribution.
Caller,
we
go right
appreciate
ahead.
it. Caller?
Hi, caller. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I don't have them here. You know, Sandra?
Hello?
You want us to take Sarah? Or? Yeah.
Hey, caller.
Hello, caller. Could you... Hello, caller.
2 times.
Okay, that person is gone because I don't know what I don't know what that is. The thing is, one of the things I want to point out, Azad, is that when I found out, when I sent it to you guys on the weekend, when I found out about it, you realize I really didn't see the chat until this morning. You know, chat. What happened was when they told me about it in the newsroom, I think it was Friday.
Yeah.
I decided that I sent it just for y'all to see, but my intention wasn't for us to discuss it until it became news, and then I didn't realize it was released. When was it released? Yesterday?
I think yesterday.
Yesterday, right. So I didn't even realize because what I thought, they told me that it was apparently inadvertently mailed out to the media houses. So I was thinking, oh, okay. Let's not do anything about this until we find out.
Because I remember when I saw it and I approached you and you said it might not have been legit based on it. And then when it was, published, I said, well, it seems as though it's legit.
It's legit now because up to this morning when you told me, I was like, really?
Yeah.
And
that's when I was like,
because I was busy here doing, I was trying to set up the cameras and stuff, so I didn't get time to check. When I came in, I didn't get time to check.
And so that's when I messaged persons and I was like, what are your thoughts on this? Because I'm thinking to myself, okay, I don't want to be thinking something and then let me see what other persons are thinking about it, because I think it's something that seemed very rushed from the outside. Sometimes we're inside and we're not seeing what other persons on the outside are seeing.
Exactly.
And sometimes it takes a 360 perspective.
Caller, go right ahead.
Yes, Azar.
Hi.
How are you? Good
I'm
morning.
good. How are you?
Jamsta.
Yes, Jamsta.
one of the Federation best DJ across the island. He gives balance. Azard,
Yes.
it come to poor people in St. Kitts and Nevis that these young people who are aspiring to be politicians, they just want their turn. They're serious with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That is how it looked to we elders, this generation, my generation. People don't care. When you look and you see what's playing out, watch you. I don't care what anybody says. Once you and Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Jacob Killer Miller, music festival in St. Kitts, nobody's supposed to come here and demanding them kind of things from a poor country. I don't care what they say. And if they watch it, they're serious boycott, serious, I believe I have crowd to get that working, especially the banking from Norristown. Bastia West, and even all over to the village. Man, look out for your people. You got a music festival, 25 years, your 25th anniversary, and your two best. You got them got to be dogging you out for what? Something from St. Kitts. Well, give me a break. Them things don't work in Jamaica, Antigua, and West Island. Them things don't work. They look for the people. Momo since Bratagan. It comes like with Momo. We gonna clean it up, and we gonna find a black show. Have a good day. This jam don't talk,
Thank you, Jamdo.
Okay. I got some pretty interesting comments here. Now, the thing is, we had a caller who just said that, people are, that they probably mean well. Absolutely. But at the same time, you get the sense that, like I said before, it's a lot of reactionary political pandering going on with the government. That's just the impression we get. I mean, because the release said nothing, and I have to be grateful for the commenter who pointed that out. Yes, there was no reason given, and usually in cases like this, you would have a good, sound economic reason, fiscal reason why you're doing what you're doing. So I got some more comments here.
Before I see
let
some,
me read it quick. Wait,
Yeah.
it won't take long. Did the Chamber of Commerce lobby for it? If so, why? Why not have one every month to coincide with payday? And if government workers eventually get paid twice monthly, why not have a reduced VAT day twice monthly as well? I mean, that's I guess devil's advocate type questions, but yeah, it's food for thought.
I am seeing this comment by Steve Mills, and he says, "Must be bash the government Tuesday, leading the way. The human brain, Sylvine, y'all should let her host the show more often." And when I read this comment, I said to myself, "This is why we can't have discussions on things without person thinking that is a bash the government."
Well, we're not bashing the government.
And this is why we don't get any better result, because everybody feels as though you shouldn't criticize the government. I mean, if it is that some things are happening and you have your views on it, why is it so wrong to just say what these views are?
Exactly.
I think we need to get
let's take another
away
call.
from those.
It's a pity
that mindset.
It's a pity we couldn't cover some other news, but okay, let's take another call. Caller, go right ahead.
Greetings. Thanks for taking our call.
Hey, what's up?
My brother,
Yes.
it's not everybody who make that blanket statement. Unfortunately, there's people who does that, feel like when you speak your truth, you're bashing government. Yeah, but not everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't use the term. And it might probably take more than a month. You said a month, but it will probably take more.
That's true.
Considering the people who spend live from hand to mouth.
And that is what I'm trying to say. A lot of persons go from Petra to Petra, no fault of themselves. Sometimes it's not just.
You cannot save. They want to save but cannot save.
Yeah.
Saving come like, sure. Hey, me I tell you, some people just look like they don't understand what go on, They don't understand what go on. I And better wake up and swell. Blessed love.
Yeah. Thank you for your contribution, Carl.
All we're saying, we can't have a government that just keeps lurching from carrot to carrot, meaning carrots meaning things to keep their base happy.
Yeah.
That's not the way you run a government. Serious stuff like this should be grounded in sound economic and fiscal policy, and then you should tell us what you should tell us what the economic policy mission statement is. When you just when you do stuff like this, we're not bashing. This is par for the course as far as critiquing.
And at the end of the day,
critiquing government.
The decisions that a government makes affects us all. It affects us all. The decision a government makes affects us all. Whether you voted for them, whether you did not vote for them, whether you didn't vote at all. A decision a government makes affects us all.
Let's take one last call. Caller, go right ahead. Okay, well, we got another one. Okay, caller, go right ahead. Be brief.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
Hey.
Good morning.
Very interesting. Now, government supposed to operate. If you put on a concert, exactly, how much months it takes you for the general public to really aware of that? In terms of promoter, if a promoter going to do a concert, will he promote 1 week before the concert? I will do 2 or 3 months prior.
You do months. You'll do as much time as possible to maximize the marketing.
Government supposed to have the news bulletin, newspaper, the observer, all them supposed to be printing that date. And then you follow up with an interview on radio.
Yeah.
Explain what you're doing for VAT. You got to do it professionally, not just put out a little notice about VAT. You first use your bulletin that you have monthly, and then you follow up with discussion and talk shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like a government information.
Yes.
You do a 60 days margin, then like a week or two before the VAT, you remind the people, don't forget that there's a bad day, and give the reason why you put on the bad day. And to get people, you have to have a discussion. You just can't put out something and expect people to just think they're doing a good job. Good job is the more information is better for public, not 10 people, not 20 people. What you want, you got 65,000 people. You think one notice is going to do it?
I get you.
So not everybody follow the same media. So I'm saying next time around, use a 60-day media, and then you follow up the week of the VAT if you want to do that. But people don't know 60 days ahead. And then you could come up with other things where you know where you could use VAT for.
But at the same time, good government fiscal policy should be what leads to these kinds of
decisions.
And we need to know what the rationale was for just
right.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying.
That's all we're saying.
Just like music festival, they bring out the first wave a couple months ahead.
Yes.
So people could understand. Guys who are doing promotion and stuff like that, you know, they put out certain things up front and then they follow up with the major discussions, you know. So use the same way how you promote whatever product you're doing. Government's supposed to use that same concept, not the hide between dark ages and just want to please a few people. Please the population, not just supporters.
Yeah.
That's my part.
We
Thank you,
need
guys.
We need to
Exactly.
really grow. Thank you so much for your contribution.
And you know, all these things we're saying, this is not about bashing the government. This is about holding the government's feet to the fire, and also critiquing them so that they can get better at running the country for the common good, for the greater good. This is not about bashing anyone.
And
Because if hey, when they hit it out the park, we will say, hey, great job, guys.
Yeah.
When they don't, we're gonna say, well, this could have been done. This could have been handled a little better. That's all we're saying.
It's as though you're there and you have an employer, and every day your employer does something that affects you, and you say nothing. You say nothing as that employer does what he or she does, and at the end of the day, you complain to the other workers, the co-workers, but I mean like this, this should have been thing. And when the employer comes in, you smile.
And it stays, and it festers, and it festers.
It stays the same. Nothing
and
changes.
It festers.
And it festers. You become lethargic. You become uninterested. You create this, anxiety when you go to work because you're afraid to express yourself. And what we're saying is that just hold a meeting. Just say, well, I don't think that this was the best approach. and then you could see where things develop into better.
And which is why I'm going to double down again. Mr. Drew needs finance / fiscal economics guru. Whether it's an advisor, you can create a position. We all, if he can't do it, the junior minister where he has to be. I mean, Miss Henry was saying that Richard Kane wasn't a senator.
No, he was a senator.
He was a senator?
He wasn't.
Okay.
He wasn't
All
a elected member.
Yeah, I know that,
Yeah.
but
he was a senator.
Was
What
he
I
a
think
senator
he
as
was
a junior minister?
Yeah. What we were saying is that
I wasn't sure
Remember,
about
you
that.
said. I think you made the point when you said that he could just bring somebody as a senator. And I was saying that okay then.
Well, no, I didn't say senator because I'm more concerned about having.
Okay.
I
mean, it doesn't have to. It could just be a special advisor, but a special advisor.
No.
In terms of
not with finance.
No, but you could be a special advisor in finance with financial background. Who advises the prime minister.
Well, yeah, I guess you could be
That
the
could be
junior
your
minister
role.
and everything but name, I guess.
Mhm.
But someone with solid credentials.
Yeah, no, the credentials
and
is
not
needed.
based not based on politics and
Mhm.
loyalty and all this stuff.
Yeah.
That is these are not criteria.
There has to
These
be
are not criteria
there
for
has-
serious ministries like finance. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
You and finance, the finance of the country runs the country. I mean, we know finances run, but can't get it clear out. The finances of the country run the country. If the finances aren't good, the people are going to feel the squeeze. If you're not running the Ministry of Finance well, all of us are going to be affected.
Yeah, I mean,
all of us.
I keep saying, if you can hire technocrats for all these other government ministries, why can't you do it for finance? It's arguably the most important pillar of government. Without revenue,
Because
you can't do
it
anything.
affects everything.
Yes, exactly.
You need finance for healthcare. You need finance for national security. You need finance for almost everything. You need finance.
God bless his soul, Mr. Drew. He is a doctor. There's nothing wrong with. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with being a doctor. He's not an economic / fiscal / accountant type person. You need a technocrat to help you at the highest level with your fiscal policy.
Yeah.
You can't just be lurching from carrot to carrot. That's what I'm calling it. Reactionary political pandering. That's not the way you run a country. That's not the way you run a government. The end.
Well, guys, we had a very fruitful discussion. In fact, when I came to this studio, I was wondering from the articles what we could actually discuss, and I never thought that we would be on this.
And the phone is like a Christmas tree over here. So we can't take any more. We already.
We want to say thank you to the callers, thank you to the listeners, because we appreciate your view, and we're here on this program just trying to, have a little discussion as it relates to various topics. And so the topic of today was the VAT. And so we want to say thank you. We want to say thank you to our doctor as well, who came in and spoke and gave us our weekly dose on the kidney stones. I think that's very important. And we want to say have a pleasant day. I hope that your morning has been good so far. And we wish to join you tomorrow on another edition of WINN FM's program, Island Tea.
Maybe I'll buy some Tide Pods on that day or something. I don't know. Hey. It doesn't really have much practical value. I'm sorry. But I'm not really sorry. I'm just telling it like it is. Okay, that's it. 7 minutes after 10 o'clock. That's going to do it for Island Tea. And we'll be back. And hopefully our friend Candy will be back tomorrow. Hi, Candy.
Hope you're feeling better.
Yes. Okay, we got Spin Cycle coming up next.
Yes.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.